Hey y'all, it's your girl Cassandra with Pecan Porch Boutique. And today, y'all, I am just going to work on a sign that I've had out in my storage forever. It says Mimi's, but we're going to change Mimi to a welcome home sign with a rustic feel. So yeah, this old sign, it was kind of cute. You know, it had all these little things that you would hang a coat on, and I thought it would be a great, rustic entry sign. So I'm just going to start by taking these little hooks off so we can get some paint on it. And I am going to start out by making these molds. This is the Hidden Hollow mold from IOD. And I am going to put those on first before we paint. And this sign kind of had these two ends that was kind of raised. And I contemplated taking them off, but then I said, no, I'm just going to work with it. Because y'all know, I just work with what I have. And so I'm going to cast 4 of these molds. This is the cutest little mold, y'all. It's these little doors. And they're all individual. They all have their own look. And I'm going to cast 4 of these, and I'm going to put 2 on each side on that raised area. So that's what you see me doing here. I'm just putting some baking powder in my mold. I'm using DOS clay this time, and I'm going to just kind of press it down in there really, really good. There are some places in this mold that are deeper, and some are shallow. And then once I get that all pressed in and the back of the clay all leveled out, I'm just going to flip it over, and look how cute this is. So cute. So y'all, I am out of my Titebond Quick and Thick, so I'm just using regular Titebond glue, and I definitely like the Quick and Thick better. It's thicker, and this is a lot thinner, but I think it'll work. And that orange that you saw on the back of this mold, that was leftover milk paint. So I just put my glue right over it. So I'm just going to spread the glue out, not too thick. I don't want it squirting out on the ends. And I'm just going to lay my doors down end to end on that little raised area that you see. And none of the paint on this board was raised or textured. So I could just go right over it and paint right over it. And I only paid $5 for the board, by the way. I forgot to say that. And did I say end to end? No, I didn't put them end to end. I put them one above the other. So now I'm just going to go in, y'all. I'm going to use some of DIY. All of the paint that I use today will be DIY paint. And this is DIY's Weathered Wood. So it's kind of a lighter brown, and I'm kind of just swishing my brush every different direction because this piece isn't really it's not very smooth in certain places. So I'm just keeping with that rustic feel and creating more texture by just kind of going back and forth with my brush. And my molds are already dry. And so because I have let them sit overnight, and so I'm going to paint right over those as well. So I'm going to start out with an inlay because I want this to be kind of the background of my welcome home sign. And this is the Lattice Rose inlay by IOD. And I know that these pages, I just want to use the pages with these flowers. And I know that they're not going to fit completely across the board. So what I'm going to do is I have some leftovers from another project that I had started with this same inlay, and so I'm just going to piece in, and I'm going to do some second use of the larger sheets as well, just to kind of get them all over the board, because it doesn't necessarily need to be perfect because I'm actually going to be writing welcome home over the top of it anyway. So I'm just going to start out by using another layer of the weathered wood paint, and I'm kind of putting it on kind of thick because I want to lay my inlay into the paint. So now remember that inlays are, I mean, this is the reason, or this is really how they were created to be used, is to be laid into paint, although you can lay them into top coats as well. But this time I'm using paint. And so I'm going to spritz my inlay on the painted side. And this will just kind of help it lay down a little bit better, I feel like, into that, on top of this very wood piece. And so I'm just going to lay it down there after I've spritzed it. And I'm just going to take my hands and smooth it out. And then I'm going to do another spritz of the water. And then I'm going to take just, I think I used, yeah, I did. I used baby wipe to just kind of press that inlay into the paint. And I'm going to do that for both of the sheets that I used. And then again, like I said, for those spaces that are missing an inlay, I'm going to do some second use on these that I have down here. And then I have some pieces from the same inlay left over that I used before. These inlays are really very easy to use. Just remember to lay your painted side into the paint or top coat, whichever you're using, and have your grid side up. Now, when you're using paint to lay your inlays in, you can leave them in for quite a while. I mean, I've left them overnight, and once you spritz them again, they release very easily. Not so much the case when you use a top coat, because you have to remember that a top coat is a sealer. And so it really kind of bonds that carrier sheet to whatever it is that you're putting it on. So with the top coat, I typically just let it dry to touch before I take it up. But once it's all dry, you just spritz it again and then just peel that carrier paper back. And that's the most exciting part, y'all, is when you peel it back and see that design into that's has embedded itself into your paint. It's just really rewarding to do that. Okay, so now that my sheets are dry, and you can tell that they're dry when they kind of turn a white color, and when you touch them, you can't feel any more moisture in them, then they are dry. And so I'm just going to spritz them and then peel them back. And look, y'all, look how pretty. It really did come out pretty in this brown, and I really wasn't too sure about using the brown as the background. I really wanted to use black, but I'm out of black paint. So I'm just spritzing it here, and then I'm just going to peel it back. And then again, I'm going to patch in those places where I did not have enough to go around. But look how pretty this is. Okay, so I've patched everything in, and I'm okay if there are some spaces that don't have the inlay, because again, this is a rustic piece, so it doesn't necessarily need to be completely covered. And I'm going to do a little sanding back anyway, just to kind of take back some of the newness away from the inlay. But right now I'm just going to go ahead and seal it up, and I'm going to be using DIY's Big Top this time. Big Top has a more of a satiny feel, and so I'm going to use that. I'm going to put on 2 coats initially. Probably by the end of this whole thing I would have sealed it 4 times. But right now I'm just going to put on the Big Top, and I'm going to put on about 2 coats, letting it dry in between. So after I get 2 coats on, and once my Big Top has dried, what I want to do next is I want to make a stencil using my Silhouette Cameo so that I can get some larger letters and actually make my welcome sign. So here it is here. I've already taken my vinyl to my Silhouette Cameo, and I've cut out the word welcome and home. And let me tell y'all something. I don't use that machine often, and I am definitely far from being any kind of expert on it. And I'm telling you, I just wanted to kick and cry, because it seems like every time I go to use it and cut my letters to make whatever it is I'm going to make, I forget the whole way to do it, and I have to start all over again, and it's so frustrating. But anyway, I got them cut out, and now what I'm doing here is I'm just taking the little weeding tool that comes with the Cameo. I know some people use a Cricut, and I'm going to actually weed out, or I'm going to peel out the extra vinyl from the letters, so that when I lay it down, it gives me the framework for my stencil. And if you don't have a Silhouette Cameo, or if you don't have a Cricut, there are larger stencil letters out there that you could get and that you could use. And then y'all probably won't even have to kick and cry like I did when I was trying to make these. So, but anyway, I'm just going to kind of go through, and I'm going to kind of weed out each of the letters. And this is the part that says welcome. And then later we'll do the home. Okay, I finally got that all weeded out. This vinyl is a very, it's very firm. So you kind of have to really kind of pinch it up a little bit in order to get it started. But I finally got it all weeded out, and now I'm going to use this transfer tape to actually transfer my stencil letters onto, so that I can then transfer it to my board. So what I'm doing here now is I'm just going to stretch out my transfer tape and just try to get the same length as my welcome sign. And then I'm going to cut it off at the end, and then I'll cut it up the middle so that I can actually, I don't waste a whole big part of it, because, this it's kind of pricey, this tape and this vinyl, so I don't really want to waste it if I don't have to. So I'm just gonna lay it over, you know, for now. It's not on the sticky part is up, so I'm just laying it down so I can kind of get a measurement, and I'm gonna cut it up the middle, and then I am going to take it and I'm gonna take my letters, my welcome letters, and I'm going to actually flip them over and lay them on the sticky side of the tape. And so once I get my tape cut to the length and the width that I needed, I know y'all are probably looking now and saying, uh-oh, this girl done gone crazy for sure. But no, so what I do is, and I learned this from another creator, is you take that vinyl, that transfer tape that's really sticky, and you kind of run it across different surfaces. So I'm the surface right now that I'm running it across, and you just use it to kind of take away some of that stickiness, because it comes very sticky, and the stickier it is, the harder it is to get your letters off of it. So I just kind of ran it across my shirt and across my back and even over on my sofa to kind of de-stick it, so that when I get ready to take it off of my letters, it won't be so very sticky. So here I am now. I've flipped my letters over. I've laid them onto the sticky part of my tape. And I'm taking this little burnishing tool that came with the Cameo. And I am just burnishing those letters down really good. And now I'm going to flip it over again. And I'm going to peel the back side of that black vinyl off, exposing the stickiness of those letters. Because now, once I get that white backing off, I can take that sticky side of the black vinyl and lay it onto my board. So I'm carefully just kind of peeling that off. Careful not to peel up any of the, you know, the letters themselves, or the little pieces of the letters themselves. And now I'm going to take the welcome sign and I'm going to lay it onto my board, and you can see that it sticks instantly. So once you be careful where you lay it down, because once you get it down, it is down. And now I'm going to take my weeding tool again, now that it's down on my board, and I'm just going to press down firmly, making sure that I have a really good contact between that black vinyl and my board. Once I get that done, then I can now go back and remove my transfer tape. So I'm just going to slowly peel my transfer tape back, and that's why I really wanted to de-stick it, because if you don't, it will be extremely sticky and it may pull out some of the pieces of your letters. So I'm just going to slowly kind of move it around until I can get it off of each letter separately without taking off any of the middle pieces of the letters. And that's my goal, to get it off without taking off any of the middle pieces of the letters. So I'm going very slow here, and I'm just going to go through each letter and pull this transfer tape off. And I said weeding tool. That was not my weeding tool that I was rubbing it down with. That was the little tool that you burnish it down with. And so I want to make sure, so that's why you see me using my fingers. I'm trying to make sure that I keep my letters intact, so that when I stencil, you know, the letters will come out whole, and they'll be shaped the way that they should. So you'll see me just peeling really slowly, but also using my fingers to press that black vinyl back down on my board, just to make sure that I get a good shape for each of my letters. And I had a little bit of trouble with the C, because this board is kind of rustic, and so there were little pieces that might have been sticking up on the board, and so I had to press it down a little bit more. But now that I've got that vinyl, that transfer tape peeled off, my black vinyl down on my board, now this is my stencil. So I'm just going to take some of DIY's Gypsy Green, And that's what the color that I'm going to stencil with. So I'm taking my little makeup brush now with some gypsy green, and I'm just kind of going through each letter and making my stencil out of that green color. And I will do 2 coats of this gypsy green over each letter, letting it dry in between. And I'm not really paying so much attention to the stenciling. I mean, I am offloading my brush, but I don't want the letters to be crisp and clean since this is a rustic sign. So that's why I'm doing these circling motions that you see me doing. But I'm going to do 2 coats over each of the letters. And I was paying so much attention to that C, y'all, because that's where my vinyl had come up just a little. I was paying so much attention to that, I skipped the L altogether. But I did come back and get it. Okay, so I've done 2 coats now on each letter, and it's time to peel off that vinyl. And this vinyl, again, is extremely sticky, and so some of the paint is going to pull up. But actually, this inlay held up really good, y'all. And that's probably because I sealed it twice. So you will see some paint coming up, but it really wasn't a lot. And again, this is a rustic sign, so I am going to do a little bit of sanding anyway. So I wasn't too worried about any paint that was coming off. But you can see here, I'm just going over each letter, and I am just going to pull off that excess vinyl now, just leaving my stencil there. And right around this C, I had to go back and get my weeding tool so I could just get a little bit of a hook there so I could pull out the middle of that C. But I'm just going to go and I'm just going to slowly pull off all of this excess vinyl and weed out any of the middle pieces of any letters that might be left. And since we already went through the process of putting on the welcome sign, I just went in fast motion to actually put down the home sign, but we did it the same way. The only difference is that I made the letters of the word home much bigger than the welcome sign. I've got my wording down now, welcome home. You can't see it too well right now, but once I get it all sealed up, those colors will come back and you'll be able to see it better. And I'm just taking my sander and I'm going to knock down a few of those little peaks of any paint that may be standing up from peeling off the vinyl. And again, it's a rustic sign, so I'm okay with sanding some of this back and not having a crisp, clean sign. And then once that's done and I've taken off all of the sanding dust, I'm going to come back in again with some of DIY's Big Top. So before this show is over, I decided I was going to add one of IOD's conservatory labels, Moulds. But the mold actually turned out to be too small. I didn't pick a larger one. My goal was to actually put some numbers in there, maybe like the address, the house number, but that didn't work out. But anyway, I did make the mold. This is IOD's conservatory labels mold. And so I did make the mold, and I'm just going to try to center it right in the middle of the board. It gives some additional, character to it, even though I wasn't able to put my numbers on it. So next, I am going to do some dry brushing now, and I'm going to come in with some black velvet DIY paint as well, and I'm going to do some dry brushing over these doors, and then I'm going to paint up these little vines and flowers that's growing all around them with a few colors. And then we're going to be pretty much close to home, y'all. This little rustic sign is going to be almost done. Now, I do not retail DIY paint anymore, but I do still have some left in my inventory. If you want to go onto my website, which is www.pecanporchboutique.com, and find any of the paint that I may have left. But I do retail IOD, so if you want to go on my website and look for any IOD products as well, you can do that. So I'm just dry brushing, and now I'm going to go back with a few other colors. I'm going to use the Gypsy Green again, and then I have a little bit of the Marquee and a little bit of Petticoat Pink, and that's what I'm going to kind of give my little bitty flowers just a little bit of a life, so that they stand out on these doors. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of you who watch my videos, who leave me a comment, who give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. I really do. I'm not a big YouTuber, but I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy sharing it as well. So if you feel that you enjoyed this particular video, please, I would love it if you would leave me a thumbs up. I would love it if you would leave me a comment. Even if you would share this with others, that would be great. And also, if you may want to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But I really do appreciate each of you, and I'm just, I'm so thrilled. I actually reached 1,000 subscribers, and I know y'all are like 1,000, but that's a lot for me, y'all. I never expected to get to 1,000 subscribers even, but I really appreciate all of you, each of you, and thank you so much. And until we meet again, don't forget to bud, bloom, and be unique. Here's a quick look back at our Mimi sign, and now a quick look forward. Here is our rustic welcome home sign. I think it turned out so cute, y'all. Look at these little doors, and y'all know I had to put in some gold. I had to add some gold in there. So I did go over slightly some of the molds with gold, as well as the little mold in the middle with gold. I think it turned out really pretty. The lighting isn't very good on here, but I just really enjoyed, even though I had to kick and cry part of the way, I really did enjoy making this old sign. So thank you guys again. Until next time, have a great evening or morning, wherever you are. Have a great day. Bye-bye.